Imagine this for a second. Your team has just won the biggest final on the entire continent. You scored the winner in extra time, you've lifted the trophy, you've celebrated like champions. And then, 2 months later, sitting in a boardroom, they take it all away. Well, today we're unpacking one of the wildest, most bizarre stories in recent football history.
And no, this isn't some crazy hypothetical. This is the actual, true story of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. It was a tournament that ended with a champion crowned on the pitch, only to collapse into absolute chaos, before ending up in the highest court of sports.
Okay, so to understand how we got here, we've got to go back to the beginning with the host nation, Morocco. Now, they were riding this incredible high after that historic semifinal run at the 2022 World Cup, and they were all set to host the biggest prize in African football.
And they really went all in. I mean, they were developing these incredible, super modern stadiums in record time. So, with all this brand new infrastructure and what many were calling a golden generation of players, the pressure on the Atlas Lions was just massive. They were desperate to finally win their first AFCON title since way back in 1976.
But, not everyone was on board with this. For a lot of people in the country, spending all this money on stadiums just wasn't the top priority. And that tension, it eventually boiled over into the streets, with some pretty dramatic protests led by youth groups really shining a light on the social friction that was bubbling under the surface of this tournament. All right, so with all that tension in the air, let's actually talk about the football. Because two absolute titans fought their way through a stacked tournament to set up what was supposed to be a dream final in Rabat. And what a matchup it was. I mean, this is the kind of final you dream of. On one side, you've got Senegal, the powerful Lions of Teranga, the defending champs looking to build a dynasty. And on the other, you have Morocco, the high-flying hosts, Africa's top-ranked team with the weight of an entire nation on their shoulders. Hey, this was far from a two-horse race. You can never, ever forget about Egypt, the record 7-time winners. And Cameroon is always dangerous, even if they were going through a bit of a crisis. But maybe the biggest story was the comeback of South Africa. Bafana Bafana just stormed through qualifying completely unbeaten, putting the whole continent on notice that they were back and were genuine contenders. So this all leads us to the final in Rabat, a night that should have been this amazing celebration of African football, but instead, it just became infamous. So let's break down exactly what went so wrong.
Okay, you just can't make this stuff up. We are deep, deep into stoppage time. It's 0-0. The ref gives Morocco a penalty. Senegal are absolutely furious, and they walk off the pitch. The game is stopped for nearly 20 minutes of pure chaos. Their captain, the legendary Sadio Mané, finally convinces them to come back on. And then what happens? Morocco misses the penalty. So we go to extra time, and Senegal's Pape Gueye scores the winner. I mean, talk about whiplash. From total despair to pure ecstasy in just a few crazy minutes. And then the final whistle blows. Senegal are the champions. They were given the trophy right there on the pitch. They celebrated, their fans celebrated, the entire world watched them win their second straight AFCON title. And the story really should have ended right there. But oh no, it didn't. Okay, so now fast forward 2 months. It's March 17th, 2026. And this is where the story just goes completely off the rails, in a way that nobody in the football world could have ever predicted. So on this day, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, they put out a statement. And look, everyone expected maybe a fine for Senegal, right? Or a suspension for some players. But what they announced wasn't that. It was a decision that completely rewrote the history of that final. Just look at this. CAF didn't just fine them. They stripped Senegal of their title. They took the 1-0 result from the match, threw it out, and awarded Morocco a 3-0 victory by forfeit. And just like that, Morocco were the new champions. So what was their justification? Well, here's the crucial point. CAF argued that the moment Senegal's players left the pitch in protest, that was it. Even though they came back and finished the game and won, that act, according to the rulebook, was considered a forfeiture. And a forfeiture meant an automatic 3-0 loss, no matter what happened after. And the reaction? Well, as you can probably guess, it was immediate and it was explosive. The Senegalese Football Federation put out a statement calling the whole thing a travesty that had absolutely no basis in law. And look, it wasn't just Senegal that was furious. Even people who used to be on the inside at CAF were baffled. A former member of their own appeal board was even quoted in The Guardian saying the decision was disgraceful and that they just could not understand the legal thinking that got them there.
So you knew this wasn't going to be the end of it, right? The fight for this trophy was about to leave the pitch in the boardroom and head straight for the highest court in the world of sport.
Senegal wasted absolutely no time. On March 25th, they officially filed their appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS. And their demand is simple. Throw out CAF's ruling and make Senegal the rightful champions of Africa, just like they were on the night of the final. Now, the head of CAS has come out and said that they understand how important this is. He's promised that the process will be as fast as possible, but also fair, because he knows the entire football world is watching and waiting for this final binding decision.
And that brings us to where we are right now. It's almost unbelievable, but as of today, we still don't officially know who won the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. That beautiful trophy is just sitting in limbo somewhere, waiting for a panel of arbitrators in Switzerland to decide who its true owner is.
This whole mess leaves us with a massive question, one that really goes to the very heart of what sport is all about. What happens when the rules written in a book seem to completely contradict the result we all saw with our own eyes? This case is going to set a huge precedent, and it forces all of us to ask, where does the final authority in football really lie? On the grass or in the fine print?